Hi everyone, this is I Am Spoon bringing you a new game today of Brass that I played. And one of the things I really want to highlight or show today is how to play Cotton when the merchant setup is not really favorable to Cotton. It is still a doable strategy, as I hope I will show in this game. This is an interesting game. I make actually a couple of mistakes, and yeah, also for me, some learnings from this game. That being said, let's start. I will watch a bit quickly or over the recording. At the beginning, of course, looking at my own cards, um, looking at where the merchant beer are, and you see immediately here this is not a setup that's particularly favorable for Cotton. Ideally, you want to have Cotton in Oxford and then in Nottingham. Like if you have these two, it's you're good to go. This is very favorable setup for Cotton. Here you have this one, which is the only one that's a bit good. This one is very isolated, which means if you go there, you have to build yourself all the networks. It's not so good, and it's much better to have one in Nottingham, which gives 3 points. This is a very nice bonus. And what's peculiar in this game is that there's really nothing in Oxford. This makes it a bit kind of a strange because most often people will play around Birmingham for iron and then maybe selling some industries. But here this is not the case. The game starts with, I think, everyone just taking a loan. I think I'm the only one not taking a loan here. So yeah, Teal is also taking a loan. As usual, they're 95%, 99% of the case you want to either loan or develop. In my opinion, develop is slightly better than loaning, but I know that there's also many good players who think loaning is a bit better. So yeah, loan or develop. In some very rare cases, maybe scout, maybe placing a canal in some specific circumstances could make sense. And when I look at my own cards, I see I have a fair amount of blue ones, so up in the top. I also have a couple of yellow ones and a bit of iron. So I have a mix of bit of everything. I kind of could go in any directions really, but I choose to go in Cotton to show you guys how to do it. It's probably not the ideal Cotton map. I also don't think I have the ideal Cotton hand or so, but yeah. So it starts. Orange is a pretty good player. I actually think there were not too many mistakes from his side in this game. It was pretty standard. Teal and purple are a bit weaker, and we'll see some more peculiar, surprising moves from them. But that's part of the game. Sometimes you play with players that don't play as you expect them to play. But it will be also interesting to analyze their play. It was not like terrible or so. It was just sometimes a bit odd. For example, here Teal builds a level 1 iron, leaves a lot of iron there. It's a bit strange to me because ideally you're able to flip your iron or use it yourself to develop. In this case, it's just there for the next player to profit from. So this means that kind of purple could develop twice. I mean, like if I'm in purple's position here, I would develop twice without any second thought. You have like 4 free iron for you. Compared to a usual price of, let's say, 2 or 3, you're saving, yeah, for 4 develops, you're saving probably close to 10, if not more, coins. So I would, without a doubt, here develop. Here purple goes for a bit surprising. He builds a level 1 pottery and then a canal with the intent of maybe selling early to get these 3 victory points bonus from the merchants. For sure, building the canal is a mistake. We'll analyze a bit later once he has played some extra moves why all of it is a mistake, but playing the canal for sure is a mistake. He could do that next turn. In the meantime, you're just helping other people who want to build him Belper by building this canal. You could totally wait and build this canal afterwards. But I'll analyze in a bit more detail afterwards why exactly this is not such a strong move. Yeah. It's my turn to play. I immediately profit from the cheap iron. This is like a no-brainer. You want to develop 2 to 3 times, sometimes even 4 times. So if you see free iron on the board like this, just develop. And I'm going for Cotton. And here you have a bit of a choice. You could develop the level 1 coal. This is, I'd say, the standard, more classical way of playing Cotton. It's rather safe and and often good enough. However, this game is a bit odd and special. As you see, everyone started in the north, so all three started in the north, and this will make it very hard for them to play anything in the south around Birmingham. I, however, haven't played yet in Birmingham, so I might just start in Birmingham and get a lot of iron out, and that's why I decide to remove my level 1 iron so that I can get my level 2 and my level 3 iron out for many points. This leaves me, however, with level 1 coal here, and this has some ramifications that we'll discuss in rail. But here, yeah, so at this point I'm quite happy. I've gotten my start, and then I have a lot of blue cards, so my ideas I will build 2, maybe 3 cottons here in north, in stone, in leek, in Stoke-on-Trent, and I think I have the cards for all of them. Or I'm missing the Stoke-on-Trent card, but I could scout for it if I want to. I end up developing a 4th time, which I'm not 100% sold on, was maybe a bit too early. But developing away the beers. My thinking here is maybe I'll only get 2 cottons out, but I will instead get some extra beer out. So this is kind of the maximum amount of developments you really want to do is 4. I'd say 3 is more standard, 4 is sometimes playable. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for here. The issue is if I want to get 3 cottons out, it's kind of hard because there's only this point where I can really realistically sell it. This here is too far. You need to build too many canals. Plus, if you start playing here, you're locked here. So we don't want this to happen. Also here in Gloucester, or however it's pronounced, you need to build like 2 canals or so. This is not what you want to do. You want to profit from other people's canals. So that's why I plan to build really here in the north around Leek and Stoke-on-Trent and Stone. And here purple is a bit of a newer play and plays actually an illegal move, so it has to go back a bit. Let me forward a bit through this. So purple in the first turn loaned, in the second turn built this pottery and this canal, and then now in the third turn builds a level 1 crate and then sells. This is very odd and unusual, and pretty much no good player would ever play like this. Let's analyze a bit why. So you've done 5 actions, and in those 5 actions, you're a bit down money. You start with 17, now you're 10, but you have a bit of income. I think he's at 3 or 4, but it's not too good because anyway, at one point he will need to loan fairly soon, so he will be back to 1. So I'd say money-wise, he's pretty much even. And then point-wise, he has scored 10 plus, how many is this worth again? I think 2 or 3. I almost never build it. So let's say 13 plus these bonuses. That's 19 plus the link. So it's something like 20-ish points in 5 actions, and you're not really ahead money-wise or elsewhere. So it's kind of like you have scored maybe 4.5 victory points per turn instead of the 5 victory points per turn that you should be scoring. And so you're slightly falling behind with these actions. And my advice is just play standard. Early on, you loan, you develop, you build iron and coal, which will flip and then offset your loans. And then you want to sell only at the very end of Canal. In 99.9% of all cases, you basically sell on the last turn of Canal. If you don't do it, it just ends up in very awkward things, and it's also just point-wise. You almost never are at 5 points per turn. I mean, we see here he got 2 of the best beers here, merchant bonus, and it's still not point efficient basically. So now I start from my side. I build my level 2 iron here in the south, in Birmingham, and notice how basically no one is really profiting from the canals I'm building. I'm really trying to build canals not to help other people. This is very important. It's probably, once you're middle level and you want to become a high level player, the most important thing is don't build canals for others, just profit maximally, just wait and only at the very last second build canals and try to avoid helping others. Now you see, right, purple by building this canal in the north is basically now helping red. I mean, sometimes it's inevitable, of course, and especially when you start building iron, you often end up helping a bit others, but you want to avoid it when possible. Teal is, so basically teal and orange seem to be going for a fairly standard brick strategy. You try to get your iron out, 2 beers, 2 level 2 crates, typically, and play from there. Fairly standard, and I think red does actually a better job at it than teal does, but we'll see why. And red getting out some beer as well. So yeah, at this stage I'm still thinking I'm gonna be building here in the north, 2 cottons, maybe 1 or 2 beers. I have the Utok cedar card, the other one, so I'll be able to build here. And I also have eventually I could maybe build in stone a beer or use the merchant beer. Yeah. And purple is taking a loan, and I don't remember what other action he did. Now from my side I start building. Oh, I think purple, so again, built here actually, sorry. Before that he built in Stoke-on-Trent and sold to Warrington. Again, this is actually not too bad. You pay something like 10-12 coins, but you get 5 points back, and this scores then 10 points across 2 actions. So you're scoring 5 points per turn, but you lose a bit in cash. It's not exceptionally good, and where we really start seeing that these sequence of actions is not so good is that he could have not sold yet these first 2, could have waited and sold 3 industries at once. Instead of selling twice, basically, he could have sold just once, saving an action. So basically saving like 5 victory points by doing that. As an action is roughly 5 victory points. So all in all, not like completely terrible moves. If you analyze in victory points per turn, he's not too far off 5 per turn. He's more like around 4, 4.5. But this is kind of not ideal and not how you want to play it. It also leads to very weird second part of Canal era, as you will see. From my side, I end up thinking a lot of on this move, and I'm actually not too happy with my choice here. I was thinking of either taking a loan, so I first built the level 3 cotton, of course, and then I could take a loan or build a canal. Why I didn't want to take a loan is I didn't want to go in negative income when I didn't really need to. And I thought at one point I will anyway need to build a canal here. So let me just build the canal already. But in reality, I could have waited. Someone else can build the canal for me. I have the cards for stone, I have the cards for leek, so it's much more preferable that someone else builds the canal for me. And I should have just taken a loan here. This canal is a mistake. Don't build canals for others. Don't build a canal unless you for sure are going to use it yourself. And here I end up building a canal, which does help the others a bit. It was not necessary. I could have just loaned and taking the -3 in income. That's acceptable. There was no rush to get out this canal, and that's the thing in canal era. You don't want to build canals unless you really are sure that no one else is going to build it for you, that you really need it, etc. And for me, this is not the case. And we see immediately teal as first action builds a canal to leek. I have the leek card, so immediately I start kicking myself for building this canal because it's not necessary. Keep in mind, a canal that gives 5 points is not a good canal. A canal that gives 6 points is maybe an acceptable canal, but at the limit for sure. And a canal that gives 7 points is probably valuable, but there are very little of those in Canal era. I mean, it happens, but it's very rare. So that's why, as a general rule, you should just avoid building canals if you don't need to. And so in here, teal, yeah, so makes pretty much the same mistake as me. Builds a canal, but then actually doesn't use his canal. Just like, oh, I'll use it next turn. But who knows? Well, in this scenario, he's for sure going to be able to use it next turn, but still, it's not needed. It's not necessary. And immediately, purple profits from the link that teal built. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, don't build links for others. You just end up helping the others. Yeah. So purple is playing at, say, fairly non-standard. He already has sold 3 industries, and now it's flipping some coal, but he doesn't really have very many good actions left. He's not going to be able to build another industry and sell it, so all he kind of has left is building some canals, flipping some coal. It's not very exciting, and I'll just go back to this basic rule, like unless you systematically score 150 points per turn, you should pretty much never sell except on the last turn of Canal, like in Canal area. In Rail it's a bit more complex, but in Canal this should be your rule of thumb in pretty much all scenarios. So now we see, so Teal is playing very standard brick, got 2 beer out already, probably will try to get another level 2 crate out, and then sell. It's not the best brick I've ever seen. I mean, he will have basically 5 buildings that are worth 5 points, so that's 25 points times 2, so it's around 50 points, plus a little bit from the canals. It's not too bad, but it's not too good either, right? I think ideal if you play brick, you want to get your level 3 iron out, or you want to get something extra, maybe an extra beer out or so, or gather a lot of cash when you go into the next age. At this stage, red is playing, and red, I think red didn't really have very many good cards, or I'm not entirely sure. His Canal era ended up being like a little more awkward than usual. And here he also plans to basically build 2 level 2 crates, 2 level 2 beers, and sell. Yeah, and you see here why my Canal is bad. Now that I've built this, red will be able to sell to the market using my Canal. In case I hadn't built it, red would probably have built himself the Canal, basically building it for me. So there was no need for me to help them out. So now I take a loan, which I should have done previous turn instead, and I end up hesitating. I think I built my level 3 iron. Yeah, the price of iron is quite good, so I'm thinking, oh, this is juicy. I want to get the iron. So there are a couple of choices where to build the link. You could build it to Walsall, to Dudley, to Coventry, maybe to Redditch. I end up building it to Walsall because I don't help anyone by building to Walsall, but I get myself more connection points from the beer when it flips. And yeah, so here I felt quite confident because I'm basically the only one that's able to get iron out at this stage because they all kind of hold themselves up in the north. I'm basically scoring a fair amount of points, getting good money for the iron, and I'm still on track for my cotton build. You see, so at this stage I built my my second level 3 cotton. I'm only down to 2 cards, but there's some beer from other players. I could build beer myself in Utok Cedar, and then I'm gonna sell. And this gives me a good amount of points. I mean, this is 12 points. This is so total 30 points, 35 points if I get the beer out. So I get 70 points in industries because they're all level 2 or more. Plus I get a couple of connection points. They're not too good, but yeah. So I'm probably going into rail with 77, actually more like close to 80 points, which is really good. And here purple ends up developing the beer. Like, I don't understand why you sell it so urgently, so quickly at the beginning. You could just have developed the beer at the very beginning, and maybe now I've gotten a beer out and then sold at this stage. Like, purple should have sold at this stage instead of before. Teal ends up scouting because I think he, yeah, it's a bit of an awkward game because all the selling in this, all the merchants are in north, and we're basically running out of space. So if you want to build a level 2 crate, he kind of needs to scout to build in Belper, for example, or maybe he could have, not sure what else he could have done. I mean, he could have maybe connected Walsall to Burton-on-Trent, and then if he had the Birmingham card, played in Birmingham or so. But I don't fault him here for scouting. I think scouting and then building in Belper is okay. And then it's orange turns to play, and because everyone is so crowded, orange basically also runs out of space, doesn't really know where to build. And this is the golden rule in Canal. If you're kind of somehow locked or unable to play what you want, please remember my game 4 in my series where I play cotton, and also, like, I'm not able to play my third cotton. If you're in such a situation, just load up on cash. Just loan, and you will go into rail with 60, 90, maybe 100 coins, and you still have a chance to win in rail. You should value cash highly, like 25 coins are worth 5 points basically. So this is a bit what orange is doing, is getting an extra beer out and loaning up and getting lots of extra cash. At this stage, teal is selling using his own beer. Pretty standard. I think he did loan and sell. Oh no, he had to build, so he didn't. He didn't loan and sell, which would have been the ideal situation. If you loan and sell, you're pretty much guaranteed. I mean, if you're first player, you're guaranteed to be first at the start of rail, and you can then fight immediately for the juicy high value links. In this case here, he was forced to first build. Now it's up to red, and red, as I said, if you don't know what to do, just loan up, and you will go into rail with lots of money. And here he has to use up the Nuniaton beer. If he doesn't use up the Nuniaton beer, someone else can. Actually, no, he could choose either. I'm not entirely sure now why he took the Nuniaton one. Because he's guaranteed to go first in rail. Actually, I'm not entirely sure why he did that. I think it would have probably been better to use his Stafford beer. Or maybe he was thinking, I was going to consume the Stafford beer, and he would be able to flip both beers. I think even if you're not able to flip both beers, it's not such a big deal. If it's beer that only you can use at the start of rail, you'll be guaranteed to double rail of it, and if the price of coal is low and at the early rail there's still many valuable links, double rail is just very, very strong and very valuable. So beer that's not flipped, it's really not the end of the world. It's still very strong. So in this scenario, red will go first in rail. People were spamming coal mines here. I mean, some of the bit weaker players were spamming coal mines. I'm not too sure it's that strong. Normally coal price is a bit higher, but in any case, we'll start rail with very low coal price, which really favors the first player and first players. And here, yeah, so this player, as I said, because of somewhat weird turn orders he took early on, or a weird player order where he immediately sold and then sold again, basically has run out of actions. There's no real good actions to take here for purple. Let's say maybe getting a beer out in Colebrookdale for start of next stage or something. But in reality, apart from that, I'm not really sure there's many good actions you can do. And that's also why you don't really want to sell prematurely, because then you have nothing to do at the end of Canal. So I think he ends up developing, and then I suggest, I think he passes as well. He like develops and passes, and then I suggest him to still build a Canal to get some points, because passing is just such a waste. You're basically wasting 5 points. You don't want to pass for no reason. In fact, you don't want to pass at all if you can. So here, purple ends up thinking a bit, and I think in the end, it takes a while. I'm sorry for that. I'm just accelerating a bit through it. He ends up developing his beer away, and then I also point out to him that he can build a Canal on these spots to score 3 or 4 points. Here again, he makes some mistakes. He goes here, which is only 3 points. He could go to between Burton-on-Trent and Walsall and score 4 points, but yeah. So that's immediately where you see, like, you don't want to end up in such situation. Don't sell so early in Canal. It's just a mistake. I have basically 2 options here. I could build in Utoxeter a beer and then sell, or I could loan and sell using the beer of Stafford. I hesitate, and I'm pretty sure that the right action was to loan and sell, but I end up doing the other one. I'm not entirely sure. It's hard to say. By building the beer, I gained 10 points. But a loan is quite valuable, especially that I don't have any coal developed, and I'm basically quite cash starved at this stage. Also, if I would have loaned and sold, I would have been second in player order, which would have been quite nice. Get some of the cheap coal to still get 2 good links in the north around Utoxeter or something. But instead, I end up building the beer, which is still 10 points. It's not too bad. Let's take a small pause here. At this stage, I have these 35 points. They're all level 2s or higher, so this is just double. So I'm basically at 82 points, which is very, very good. I'd say more usual is around 70 points and a bit more cash. Sometimes maybe 50, 55 and a lot more cash. 75 to 80 is just very good. And we see here that the other players are not doing that well. Some of these here are not level 1, they're not level 2 or higher, they're level 1, so the score here of purple is really not so high. Green has a bit better, but not very exceptional. I mean, green, teal instead. And orange is actually not doing too bad. He only has 41 points, which looks very bad, but he has 90 cash, and this brings you a long way. You should evaluate this maybe as, I'd say, 4 actions, if not 5 actions. So this is more like 20, 25 points that he has here in cash available. So yeah, at this stage, my feeling is I'm first, orange is maybe second, third is teal, and purple is last. But between teal and orange, the difference is not so high. My challenge is going to be more the economy in the second part, but I should be able to win it. Yeah, of course, if this was a game where the cotton merchant had been, for example, here, I would have gotten 3 extra points, if not more, and this would have been just a perfect cotton game. But here with the merchant setup how it is, you need to play it slightly differently. You can't just play it in the standard cotton way, I would say. Yeah, I'll go a bit quicker here over rail. I think I end up making here 2 mistakes, and it's kind of interesting to learn from your own mistakes as well. And sometimes I play fast. I think I'm in general amongst the faster players. I haven't really done the math, but if you look at all my games, I tend to be a very quick player compared to some of the others. Yeah, so red starts very standard double rail immediately to Utoxeter. This is the most valuable link typically, using up his own beer, and then another valuable link. So 3 very valuable links to start with at very cheap cold prices. So this is exactly how you want to play. At the start of rail, you want to fight for the good links. Just regardless of your strategy, all strategies, the first 1-2 turns, just build links, contest the valuable links, spread out your network so that you also gain access to more places and don't get locked out. But yeah, and purple builds this. Yeah, these are fairly valuable links. Why not? I don't think this is terrible. Of course, you leave 1 beer for the next player, but this is pretty much inevitable, to be honest. Teal here builds a coal. I'm not too fond of leaving coal like this on the map. It's often you end up helping others, but in some situations it can make sense. I think here Teal ends up moving into Canuck. Okay, maybe later on he will get access to the farm brewery. Why not? And then the double rail. I'm not entirely sure where I would double rail. Yeah, probably. I mean, this is 6 points, which is decent, but yeah, doesn't get him too much access. But why not? From my side, I have to loan because I'm broke, and then I build a network here to the north, and so let me decelerate a bit, and then I overbuild Teal's iron. I saw the price is so high. Maybe I got a bit greedy. Maybe it was not really necessary. Maybe I could have just played a bit more calmer. But at one point, they could also build to Walsall and overbuild my iron, or build to Birmingham in 1 or 2 turns and overbuild mine. So I thought, why not? Price is the maximum. Let me overbuild. This puts steel a bit behind, get my level 4 iron out. And I forgot what my second action was here. I end up placing a rail, yeah. So basically, all the spots in the north, they're pretty much locked, and there still are some spots in Thamesworth, in Nuneaton, in Birmingham, and then here on the bottom left where I can build cotton. So my idea is to get 2, 3, maybe 4 cottons out, get a beer out, and then sell everything. This is so many points that the others cannot compete. So I just have to early on compete a little bit on the rails. Unfortunately, I was lost in turn order because I built this beer, so I couldn't really contest the very high value ones, but yeah. Orange here builds a nice beer for him, and then double rail. And you see immediately the value of orange. I said the orange had not such a strong canal, but He has so much cash. He was able to double rail immediately on turn 1. Now he's able to double rail again, and these double rails, they really are quite valuable. It's basically 2 actions in 1, and some of them he was able to do when the coal price even was low. So orange is really not out of this game yet. Teal got overbuilt, and I think some of the links here are a bit less valuable. Like, for example, why did Teal link here to the market? I don't really understand. It's 5 points at this stage of the game. There are some more valuable links. Going towards the south, probably it's more valuable, gains you more access as well, and 5 points is really not that strong or that much. On top of that, you potentially help others because now they gain access to the merchant beer, which, based on the strategy they're doing, might just help them out more than it helps out you. For sure, it helps out me because this means I don't need to build this rail. Maybe I would have to build it later. I mean, 5 points later on, the second part of Canal, why not? But on turn 2, it's not good enough. You don't want to score 5-point rails on turn 2 of rail. It's purple's turn. I guess purple will double rail, but I was thinking a bit. Let me accelerate a bit through this. Okay, first ends up building coal, and then I guess we'll double rail. So you see, there's some discussion happening here. Purple was a bit of a newer player, so we kind of helped him a little bit to kind of get on track. Yeah, and I think, in my opinion, once you reach say 10 income, you don't necessarily want to increase your income further. It's good enough. It becomes very inefficient, right? You need 3 income steps to just gain 1 income. So at that stage, is it really necessary to build more coal? I don't know. Here purple is already building his level 3 coal. Yeah, from a point perspective, you have to look a bit at coal like this, right? It gives you points, it gives you cash, it gives you income. And the points are not so high. The cash is like half a loan or something, so it's valuable, but not extremely, but somewhat valuable. And then the income it gives you, if you build it in the 3rd turn of rail, it's still somewhat valuable. You probably will make use of the extra income that's generated. Of course, if you build on the last turn or the second last turn of rail, probably the coal extra income is not valuable at all. Yeah, so purple ends up here double railing after thinking for a while. Now it's Great's turn, and green takes a loan and secures the farm brewery. You don't want to secure the farm brewery too early. It's a strong move, but it's also not. I mean, the links here from Canuck to the farm brewery and from Canuck to Burton-on-Trent, they generally tend to be a bit weaker. They tend to be like 4 points, 3 points, or maybe sometimes 4 points, 5 points. So you don't want to, on turn 1 or 2, absolutely rush it unless you have some very specific strategy where you really need the spear. I don't know if you're like going for the level 5 pottery or something. But in general, I would not like rush it. But I'd say turn 3, by turn 3, it's probably worth going for it. From my side, I end up building 1 rail to here because I want to be able to build my cotton here. I mean, there's still some spots here as well, but these might be used up by coal users, so I thought it's valuable. And then later on, I can build to Kidderminster and secure the farm brewery. But I felt like no rush. There's no need to rush the farm brewery because I can do it at any point later on. That was kind of my feeling. I don't think it would really make sense for other users to build like 2-3 canals, just 2-3 rails here, just around on not so valuable locations, just to secure the farm brewery. Yeah, and this is one of the few turns where actually I play a bit slowly. Sorry for that. So I end up building a canal and then building a factory here. My idea is I want to take away some of these spots while they're still available. So probably build 1 in Nuneaton, 1 in Birmingham, and then maybe 2 in Worcester. But I think maybe I was a bit overambitious on hindsight. The strength I had is that I was building a lot of iron in Canal, and in consequence I had very high victory points. The weakness is I haven't developed away or played to level 1 coal, so I am a bit weak economy-wise. It's not impossible to play without coal in rail. but I don't know many players who do it. I think I'm one of the few good players against whom I played that kind of sometimes does this, just skip call altogether. You basically have three options when you skip call altogether. First option is you just continue using loans all through rail, and then towards the end of rail you sell at one point, and yeah, you kind of power through the age with lots of loans. It's a bit hard and complicated because sometimes you get into negative incomes, -3, -6. I've played at these ranges towards the end of rail, and it's still possible to win. It's just you need to be quite cautious that you don't get negative money. So that's the first way of playing it. Another way to play it is to, well, develop an extra time, develop away the level 1 call plus something else, and then still build level 2 calls. Ideally, you do this around turn 3 or so of rail. Not turn 1 and 2, because there you still want to contest the links, but in turn 3 is probably the right time to do it, where the extra income you get from call is still valuable. So that would be the second way to play it. And the third way to play it is to loan it, but somewhere halfway rail on turn 4 or 5, so in the middle, to sell. And you would typically do that to get some of the good victory point bonus, like the one here for trade or for pottery 1. So in my case, it would be like, I don't know, go to -3 income or -5 income or something like this with loans, build the level 1 pottery and sell it up here. Selling, so building level 1 pottery and selling, it nets you 13 points. So it's 6.5 points per turn. Okay, it costs you some money, but you get you get some extra income. It kind of solves your economical problem. So this is pretty good. So that would be the third way of doing it. And yeah, in my case here, regarding these three strategies, I was thinking at first to just power it through, do the power through strategy, just take on extra loans, build extra cottons, and once I have like 3 cottons, maybe build on the farm brewery and sell. Then kind of halfway through, I was thinking of maybe doing an early sell, so kind of sell on turn 4 or 5 with maybe 1 or 2 cottons. And then towards turn 4 or 5, I decided, no, I want to do the second option and just go for call. So I was very inconsistent here. In my defense, I think some of the moves played by some of the weaker players kind of threw me off, surprised me. And this is such a move here played by Teal. Teal has already secured 1 farm brewery, which will guarantee him 2 beer. And now he's playing some odd moves just to secure the second farm brewery. I mean, from a point perspective, this is not so strong what he's doing. It kind of screws me a bit, but it's not point-wise really winning for him at all. And what are you going to do with a second farm brewery? Often you don't really need 4 beer, or people. You will just provide beer to the others then. So it doesn't make too much sense what TL is doing here. And yeah, it kind of threw me off a bit, to be honest. But that's life. If you play with players that are a bit weaker, they sometimes play surprising moves. It typically loses them the game, or for sure doesn't win them the game, but it can also throw you off a bit of your game. And yeah, here, very nice play actually by Orange. I like it a lot. As I said, selling the level 1 pottery, especially with a bonus here, it's a pretty strong move in rail. In Canal, it's a bit different. You have to. I'm not saying it's always good in Canal, especially if you do it too early in the Canal era. But in rail, this is a pretty strong move. And on top of that, here he's able to sell his second crate he had not built in the Canal age, and also get the +3. So this is pretty strong. It gives a little bit of extra income, but that's not the main point. The main point is that he's scoring. If you look in number of victory points per turn, this is just very efficient. At a stage where the resources are very high and expensive, building rails would be quite expensive, and you wouldn't be able to get as many victory points. And on top of that, it denies it, of course, from other players. So purple is building some extra coal here, and here's the stage where I think you shouldn't be building too much coal anymore. You have a lot of cash, you have a lot of income. Coal doesn't give too many points. I mean, this move is maybe still acceptable, still okay, but I feel like at this stage you should probably not, yeah, build too much coal. Or it's like a typical mistake newer players make. I'm really broke, so I'm taking an extra loan, and I build a canal, like a rail here. just one extra rail. I was thinking of building in Stafford with my level 1 pottery and then maybe doing a cell of the pottery mid. I'm not entirely sure anymore what my idea was, to be honest. I played this yesterday, but some of the ideas I kind of forgot what I had in mind. I end up finally getting overbuilt in Birmingham. I knew this was going to happen. 1 to 2 overbuilds per game is pretty common. On top of that, here, no one built in Coventry, no one built in Dudley, no one built in Coalbrookdale. So I got to a stage where the price was so high I was going to get overbuilt. And my Birmingham iron gets overbuilt. It's always a bit to risk if you go iron. Like iron, I always say level 2 buildings count them double in Canal, but for iron it's not entirely true. You should maybe count 1.5, or it depends a bit on the situation. But well played by Orange. And I think from Orange I've not seen like really a single mistake in rail. His links, they're quite valuable between the north. There was this very good sell for the merchant beer. These links are also very valuable. He gains access to it. There's like no real wasted move or weird move. TL had this kind of strange Kidderminster disconnection. I mean, this is not that many points at all. And it's just kind of a, oh, screw yellow move, but not very valuable. TL also had a couple of links here on the north that I don't think are that valuable. Didn't really gain him access. They were not so valuable. And yeah, so at this stage, I think Orange is playing flawless in this rail. And I think, you know, if you look at how to play break in rail, I say look at Orange. This is how you play break in rail. And of course, there's some oddities in this game where like it's very concentrated in north in the early part of Canal. So there's still a lot of space in the south. This is kind of a bit different from the usual games. Usually people connect to Birmingham, and then, you know, all the iron access here is very important, so people would play more around that. Like League typically is empty, or I mean often ends up empty in a normal game, I would say. Yeah, at this stage I'm hesitating a lot, and it goes back to what I said. Either you power through with loans, or you sell halfway through rail. You would, like now, for example, I would loan and sell just one cotton, sorry, and then still continue building extra cottons, a beer, and sell a second time or something. Or put a call. The issue with the call at this stage is like we've played already, I think 4 or 5 turns we've played already 4 turns in rail, and it gets a bit late to build call. And unfortunately, I end up doing it. I really think it's a mistake. I'm not entirely sure what was going through my head. So yeah, it solves a bit some of my economy problems, but it's point-wise, it's really not so efficient here. I just gained 2 points in 2 actions, so it's very low. I think my idea was that I would maybe overbuild one of my own beers at one point, so I wanted to have access to a level 3, or even in case if I just build it, it's still netting me 2 points if I still end up building it somewhere else without overbuilding. And I felt my economy was a bit too weak and I needed to get call out. But I still, like, on review for this game, this is a mistake. It was not needed. I should just power through with loans, or maybe just like loan and sell my 1 cotton here that I have. It was not necessary. Yeah, and these players, strangely enough, both teal and purple, like, have not played any iron mine till now, even though the price was often very high. Now they finally played. I don't know if it's because they didn't have the right cards or whatnot, but Birmingham has been connected to Coventry for a while, so I don't know why he didn't play the Coventry card before. Yeah, if that happened, maybe my iron would not have gotten overbuilt. I was kind of hoping for that. I knew it was very much a risk that I would get overbuilt, but I was like crossing my fingers, hoping it would not get overbuilt. Someone would just play in Coventry iron. Who knows, maybe then I even build a link to Dudley so that someone else can build here in Dudley, and that they do not overbuild me. This is, however, not what ended up happening. So yeah, here again, complete surprise, out of nowhere, purple scouts builds a coal mine in the middle of nowhere, which like doesn't flip, and yeah. And then I think built a rail. So why is this really odd? As I said, coal is not so strong, especially if you already have a lot of income in cash. You like don't really want to build coal. But here, I think he really wanted to get to Coalbrookdale, and because he was kind of a bit locked in. I mean, one of the reasons why it's a bit locked in is because in the Canal era he didn't really build a lot of level 2 buildings. He built, I think, 2 level 1 buildings or 3 level 1 buildings, and they go away. So of course you're a bit more restrained, you're constrained on the board in Rail. Yeah, so here it's my turn. I see 2 free call. I just have to grab it. Yeah, it saves me 5 cash. I mean 5 to 6 coins actually. It saves me 6 coins to get his call. So I decide to go for it. It's not arguably not the strongest link, 4 points, but okay, I'll take it. And then I built my extra, yeah, an extra cotton out. And then it's again to Purple's turn, and Purple consumes all his call. So in the end, he didn't give too much call away, to his credit, but I still think it's very weird. It's like not that strong. On top of that, he actually scouted just to be able to do that. I'm not sure, like, why did he not, I don't know, connect to Birmingham from Thamesworth? There's still potential extra points here, connection points, and then connect to Dudley and build in Dudley or so with an iron card. I see he has an iron card. So I think instead of all this weird scout and build coal mine in the middle of nowhere shenanigans, he could have just connected Thamesworth to Birmingham and then Birmingham to Dudley and then built. On top of that, at one point, it's possible that some of the brick players, and there's 2 here, I mean, technically he as well, could build still in Birmingham, and then these links could be still very valuable. So that's something to keep in mind. In the end, kind of a lot of actions done by Purple just to build the level 2 iron. Yeah. At this stage, it's kind of close to the end now. I don't have a lot of money. I will need to loan at least once. My idea is I will loan. I will build in Worcester. Then I will build a beer and sell. And ideally, I build my beer in Colebrookdale. I have the card. I can build here. But of course, I am also thinking maybe a Teal will just supply me beer from the farm brewery. And also this extra beer here, this was 4 victory points, which is really, really a lot and game changing actually. Just got available, even though I kind of whole game assumed no one would ever connect there and it would not be available. So there are a couple of options here for me. And orange takes, again, solid moves, shores up a bit of the economy, then builds the most valuable link, 6 points here, right? And this goes back to what I said earlier. Teal built this on the second turn of Rail. This is 5 points and brings you to nowhere and doesn't help you. Why did you do that? You could have built rather stuff like here, which is 6 points and more valuable. And yeah, anyway. So now it's Teal turns to play, and this just comes to the fact, they're slightly weaker players, these two, and they play sometimes weird. So now Teal has secured 2 farm breweries. We're almost at the end of the game. He has done nothing with it. It's a bit like, what the fuck? What are you gonna do now? Are you just gonna supply beers to others? Are you not gonna build there? I'm not entirely sure. So I think in general, if you secure 1 farm brewery, that's good enough. You rarely really benefit from having 2 farm breweries. I think Teal just slightly overrated the importance of the farm breweries. They're like helpful, but you can also always overbuild your own beer or so you don't have to completely rush it, especially rush both of them. So at this stage, yeah, he ends up building more beer and giving basically beer away for others. Now, to be fair, there's not that many good double links remaining, but yeah. And he's able to double link a bit himself as well. Here, his first player. What's he's gonna do? Yeah, we're discussing a bit what are the most valuable links. Everyone is helping him a bit. Actually, this is kind of such a mistake. Actually, when you think of it, is it? Yeah, no, I think it's pretty much a mistake. This is 4 points, but linking Thamesworth to Birmingham is also worth 4 points, potentially more, because there's a lot of beer outs only, which means that level 5 crates can be sold. Red, of course, has this in mind, connecting a lot around Birmingham and then playing the level 5 beer. It gives quite a lot of connection points to him. And also, Teal has no access yet to Birmingham. So Teal, like in my mind, should 100% play connection Thamesworth to Birmingham. And this year's a bit odd, or I'm not entirely sure what the idea is. I mean, he's almost out of action, so And he ends up building a second beer here. Yeah. Suddenly supplying beer to everyone here at the end of the turn. Purple would actually not have many good actions remaining if it was not for the fact that other players just spammed beer for him. And okay, he ends up building this, which is for 6 points. Actually, this is decent. And okay, and builds extra beer. And you see a bit why I say purple built too many calls. He has 90 coins, so super high income, and basically all of this is not really valuable anymore. Oh yeah, he wanted to build in Colebrookdale, and we convinced him that he should instead double rail because he has so much cash and it's just stronger point-wise, I think. Plus he could still build a beer in next round or something like that. I don't exactly remember what we were discussing, but we're kind of giving some tips. At the stage here for orange, this is what orange has been eyeing the whole kind of second part of rail, and it should be very, I mean, with good players, everyone pays attention to this. You see a player just connecting a lot of rails around a location, like Birmingham. Typically, like Birmingham is the biggest place where you can win, but at high level play, it's pretty much impossible to really pull it off. But they would like build maybe 3 or 4 links around Wolverhampton and then build a level 5 box in Wolverhampton to really benefit from the level 5 extra connection points that it gives. But in this game, he's able to do this around Birmingham, as he will now. He sees there's a lot of beer being supplied. There's a plus 4 points here that's freely available. There's 5 points here also available. So there are a lot of beers still available. And he can get out his level 5 box. It is a bit risky, of course, because it could be that all the beer is gone. Maybe he has a card to overbuild one of his own beer. I'm not entirely sure. But it's not without risk. And here I have pretty much won the game. I mean, I have scored so much in Canal. In Rail, I maybe didn't play so perfect, but this is pretty much a one game. I need to loan, build a beer in Colebrookdale, and this guarantees that I'm first in turn order for next turn. Then I build another cotton in Worcester. I have the card for it, and I sell using my own beer and using the plus 4 beer here. So this is a one game for me, and somehow I accidentally play a bit too fast, make a mistake, and oh yeah, I think orange is finishing which card to throw away. But this is really a one game for me. I just need to do it correctly, and I end up doing it incorrectly, throwing away my Colebrookdale card for no reason, number 1, and number 2, spending too much money, which makes me not first in player order. Completely unnecessary. I could just build the beer in Colebrookdale and I would be guaranteed first in player order. If I had done that, I would have easily won the game. Unfortunately, I kind of, yeah, play a bit too fast. I think my attention was dropping here a bit at the end of the game, to be honest. And I let orange play first. And he grabs the plus 4 points. He grabs some of the beer. And yeah, this is kind of really bad for me, actually. The reason why it's really bad is I actually now am 1 beer short to sell my 3 cotton. On top of that, I threw away my Colebrookdale, so I cannot even play beer here, so to compensate. So I have to connect to Gloucester to actually get my 3rd beer. So this is pretty much a disaster for me. I had everything under control, and I kind of messed it up at the very end. So after a very strong Canal, I played somewhat weakly here in Rail. But yeah, I mean, you don't always play perfectly. And at the stage where kind of helping the others to finish play their turn, they end up still scoring a reasonable amount of points here at the end of the game. As you see, we're helping them coordinate about play the beer there, and then double rail, and then teal can use up one of the beers from purple. So it's like very much a win-win for them here at this stage. To be honest, it felt a bit. Yeah, this level of coordination would not happen in a close game, like a more competitive game. But here, yeah, we kind of allowed them to really help each other out. Like, it's a really win-win for them. So they end up flipping everything here. And these are some very nice moves actually at the end for purple and teal. This leads us to the end game scoring. And yeah, as you can see, red won, and very well played, very nice play. I think flawless rail era. To be honest, I have not seen a single mistake from red, or so fighting for the valuable links early on. Halfway through flipping to get the nice bonus from the beer here, and then at the end finishing with a level 5 crate that you had, let's say, half surrounded, after you had half surrounded Birmingham. And it shows that, if your Canal era is not great, you miss certain cards, you miss certain things, or other people block you, don't worry, just loan up, go into rail with 90 cash, you will be able to catch up. From my side, I think my Canal era was quite solid, but I really messed up in rail, especially at the end, because I kind of gave red the victory. He should not have gotten the +4 points. I should have gotten it 100% if I just paid slightly bit more attention and not messed up the turn order. But yeah, that's life. The two other players, they were, in my view, definitely a bit weaker. Not like completely terrible, not like just building canals and helping all the others out while scoring nothing. I think Purple played a bit unorthodox, but not really terrible. Like, if you're scoring 4.5 points per turn, you get kind of in that range, which is acceptable range, I would say, even though it's not good enough to win a game. As the same with Teal, which some of his links were just weird, not so strong links. This kind of securing the 2 farm breweries but then not making use of it, it was just kind of a bit weird to me. So for sure that. Also from my side, I actually got overbuilt in Birmingham, but that's just part of the game, I'd say, and this happens. Especially if you build iron, and yeah, I think some of the strongest strategies just completely avoid iron, and yeah, in that sense, they're very hard to stop because you cannot overbuild those players once they get a lead. Yeah, I mean, that's it for me today. I'll post maybe some further games in the future. I was thinking of maybe posting some games from Parlor, which is not like tabletop simulator. It's asynchronous, so it's really turn by turn where people take a day to play a move. Yeah, and if you like more of these games, then give it a punch up, a like, subscribe, and I'll be working on some extra games going forward. Bye.